They say everybody has a story, but every story has a story as well. And we just gonna break it down real quick. If you're just watching the video from my YouTube, hey, that welcome. But I posted a video on my Instagram at Dr. Elijah Frazier, on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. But every story has a story. Now the backstory is a completely different video. But what we're talking about here today is Deaf Collective, and Deaf Collectives comes from my just my spread of ideas coming together for once. I always knew that I wanted to work with people. I love to help people, love to make things happen, love to be a part of that mix to where something grew, something changed. Like we really made something happen here. And I didn't know what that was in the beginning. I'm 38. 80s baby, 80s baby, stand up. And over the years, coming out of high school, graduated high school in 2006, I said, man, I'm gonna get into real estate. Graduated high school, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to, just go to college like everybody else. That worked out, but didn't work out until later on, like after I was married. But I just knew I wanted to work with people. I'm like, man, well, let me just go get my bag. Let me go to work and let me get a job. Because that's what you do. Like, you go to school, you get a job, you do all the things you're supposed to do. And I started doing all the things that I was supposed to do. And I was like, I don't like doing all the things I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, this is not it. Especially when I was working at, before it was TJ Maxx and Marshalls, it was AJ Wright. If you know, you know. And this dude came in and he was just grabbing a shirt, and he was going out. He was like, yeah, about to meet up with my wife and kids. We're about to have a picnic day, this and that. And I, outside of me, like, I didn't know. I'm like, wait a minute, but you got to be at work. He's like, no, I own my own business, do this. So now I'm being, as a young teenager, I'm being introduced to the world of entrepreneurship. Didn't know anything about this world. And there was this lady that she did makeup, knew nothing about, like, makeup is not my thing. Her name was Candy Johnson. And she's like one of the OGs of YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can tag her and shout her out. I was watching one of her videos, 2010, 2011. And she said, thank you to all of you guys for helping me live the life of my dreams, being an entrepreneur, doing what I love for a living. I'm like, what is this word that people just keep saying and putting out? I'm like, what is this thing? Like, you don't have a job, but you got your own job. That's your job. Like, what is this word? And come to find out that people were getting paid off their own ideas. Like, people were making it happen. They were figuring it out, and this and that. And I said, what I wanted to do. And I remember my friend's dad, he was like, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be able to start a business without a degree and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, guess I got to go back to college. That wasn't true. Even though we still went and we dropped out. But finally getting to where it is I want it to be, I figured out it was helping people. It was helping people. I knew I wanted to help people. And I thought it was just like a business, a product, a service, or something like that. And come to find out, it was. I got into a lot of things. I mean, network marketing was big, door to door, vector, knives door to door, and windows. And like, we growing up in the 90s, if it could be sold, we sold it. Like vector marketing, the knives, the gas, the legal shield, the prepaid legal, the towing service, like all the things. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get to it. What I didn't know is that what I needed was already in me. Like, I already had like the goods, I already had the juice. I just didn't know how to channel that. I just didn't know how to do that. So through trial and error, from, joining different business opportunities and, helping people with their brands and their businesses and their ideas, I was like, man, you can do this for yourself. You don't have to sign up for anybody else's thing. You don't have to be a part of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a part of everybody else's thing. Let's be clear on that. But when you have a calling, when you have a purpose, when your name is supposed to be on something, when you see that there's a vision, when you see that there's a goal, like you're like, yeah, I got to do what the hell I got to do. So for me, I was like, bro, you've got to figure this out. For a long time, I was running away from my experiences. For a long time, I was running away from my hurts, my failures, my fears, my pains, all of these things. But I didn't know that there was purpose in the pain. I didn't know that I could turn my pain into a platform. I didn't know none of this stuff. This was a completely different and new world to me. So with that being said, fast forward, we were filling a lot of gaps in a lot of other videos. Fast forward, I started speaking, like, doing some youth stuff at my church. Then I started like doing, events at hotels, like they throw events and all that type of stuff. And schools were asking me to speak, and businesses were asking me to speak, and people started asking me to help them consult with their problem. Because I really started getting into it. Like, graduated high school in '06. Facebook came out in '07. We were just using that to play around. But then, people started talking about business and all that type of stuff. And then here comes Instagram and, oh, what's this LinkedIn? So you see, it all starts to come together. And I noticed that people enjoyed my advice. They enjoyed my modalities, my application. I'm like, man, I want to do something about this. So before any of that, I was what you would call a motivational speaker, a life coach, a consulting, because I just had this natural knack of figuring out problems to solution. And I don't want to say it was natural, because, I went through a lot of stuff in my life, and a very large part of my life was figuring out how to solve problems. And unfortunately, not a lot of people went through what it is I went through mentally, emotionally, physically, like the things that happened to me in my life. Yeah, I had to be a problem solver, and I had to get damn good at it. And I did. So that's what we did. Um, and then I started to heal, though. And I didn't just want to help and talk and coach people out of like what I went through and out of that vein. I wanted to come from a healthy place. So I started to do some self-reflection and, started getting mentors around me, started, getting into mental health and things like that, and really started taking care of, my mind mentally and, emotionally, my central nervous system, my internal psyche. Like, I really started doing that. So speeding all the way up to, I think it was like 2016, I was like, I'm gonna write a book. I said, I'm gonna write a book about my experience. A very large event happened in my life, and I said, I will never end up here again. I was married, had kids, had a family, everything. I still am, like, at the time, I'm just saying where I was. So I was married, had kids and a family. I'm like, man, not only are the choices that you made or the things that you haven't grown or changed from affecting you, but it's affecting your family now. And I said to myself, what are you going to do to not change this situation, but fix this indefinitely? And I said, I'll never be here again. And my word is going to be my word. And I'm going to change my life around I'm going to turn my life 180 degrees, not 360, being back where you were, but we're going to go in a complete opposite direction of what we've been and where we've been. So I wrote this book. Check it out. I wrote this book, and before I wrote this book, I already had the vision. And I was like, you're going to write this book. You're going to end up talking about this book on TV. Didn't know what viral was at the moment, but this was 2016. I said, you're going to go viral, and you're going to make so much money off of this book. People are going to have you come speaking, and it's going to do speaking events and other. And it did. And it did. This book right here changed my life. 180, a turn to face in the opposite direction, a complete reversal in attitude or opinion. That was my problem. Like, and a lot of people, when there's a fault in their life, they focus on whose fault it is rather than getting the fault out of their life and then figuring out if it's worth chasing that person down for accountability. Because health is a language, and not everybody understands that. You can't, look for apologies from people who don't understand why they should or don't think they should and all that. So I wrote a book and I wrote it in degrees. There's 180 degrees, you know, degree 1 all the way to degree 180. And by the time you're done reading this book, mentally and emotionally, you should be looking at life and living life in a complete reversal of attitude and thinking than you have ever thought before. You see where I'm going with this? And this book went crazy. 10 years later, I wrote it in 2016. 10 years later, 2026, the day of the year that you're watching this video, this book is still doing numbers. And it did all that I said it was going to do. I ended up on TV. I ended up on the news. And I got speaking engagements. I went on school tours. I traveled the country. Like, this book opened so many doors and changed my life. And I knew I wanted to help people. And around that time is where I started to figure out, you know, okay, this is what you want to do with your life. I went to school for ministry around that time. I went to school for ministry around that time. And I was like, man, this is the way that this is the way that I want to help people. And it was. So I went to school. I got licensed and ordained. And when I did that, I was like, yeah, I don't want to start a church. Like, yeah, y'all on a different type of time. So I'm gonna let y'all have that. But I still love people and I still had a faith and all these things. So I had an opportunity to enroll into, coming out of that, I had an opportunity to enroll into a doctorate program to become a Christian counselor. And I did it. I enrolled, I got accepted. I got my PhD in Christian counseling with a foundation in human psychology and behavior and theology, and started my own practice, multidisciplinary, different clinicians, coaches, consultants, professionals, and we did all that. A few years before that, though, is when I wrote my second book, The Passion Battle. The Passion Battle, the silent battle of everyday dreamers living in the everyday work life. I knew that I had to write this one. And I wrote this one in the style and format of from 9 a.m. when people usually clock in to 5 p.m. when people usually clock out. And this is like helping you change the mindset and the things you have to do. And I loved it. And I'm like, man, like I am really learning these different languages and applications to help people the way that they want to be helped, or in the language that they speak, right? Some people were readers. Some people were visual, audio visual, more media, more arts. And I was like, man, what if I stretch this pen game? Like, what if I stretch this pen game and I put a short film in theaters? Like, what if I do that? Like, I wrote 2 books already. Why can't I write, a script, cast it, executively produced it? Shout out to my boy Logan Kingston when I was in Cleveland. And we did it. We pitched it to Regal Cinemas. We got ourselves a theater. We did an event. We sold that thing out. It was crazy. And we just went hard. So I created a brand called Royal Lamb at that time. And, in that time, it had clothing, it had merch. Hold on. Let me show you something. It had clothing, it had merch, it had all sorts of stuff. But with that, can I squeeze in over here? Yeah, I can squeeze in over here. Like when I say, because I'm cut that way. If I think about it, like I can make it happen. I'm like, yo, we gonna have everybody wearing this, man. We had NBA players, we had movie stars, TV personality, all sorts of stuff, wearing our merch, doing all that type of stuff. Travel bags, like you name it. Like we cooked, and it was good, and it served its purpose. I might still have something on my sleeve with that, but we did that, and that went crazy. People wearing their clothes all across the world, outside of the country, like in Paris and France, like it. And I'm like, bro, you really have a knack for this. And then you grow up a little bit and you're like, man, you really need to get some foundation, in your life, start having the conversations that are important, setting your family up, legacy, this and that. So then I got into insurance. I got into investments. I got into financial, becoming a licensed financial professional, from life insurance to investments, uh, and and beyond, and helping people with budgeting and all that. So now you see how all of this stuff is starting to come together collectively. Um, I mean, and it just kept going to where, starting consulting firms, digital media businesses, marketing and advertising. And I didn't feel myself being spread too thin to where I couldn't be productive, but I, I was being spread too much to where I didn't feel in alignment, if I can say that. So, fast forward a little bit more, talking to the wife, we living in the Midwest at the time in Northeast Ohio in Cleveland. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm like, it's always cold, like, seasonal depression, all this type of stuff. Boom. And we move to Central Florida and love it. And I'm doing all of these things. Now I've got multiple practices, multiple business things flowing. We're doing things in creating. We're doing things in, finance. We're doing things in mental health. We're doing things in startup. And I'm like, I've got like 5 to 10 different things. How do I bring it all together? And it's it. And the biggest part, like I said at the top of the video, was helping people develop the areas of life that are most important to them, mentally, emotionally, creatively, financially, lifestyle, whatever it is for you, because hell, I done touched it all. And consistently, and like I said, good at it, great at it, exceptional at it. So I said, we've got to streamline this. Just because I understand it, just because I get it, just because I can do it, doesn't mean that's the way everybody would like to see it or accept it. So anytime you're creating, yes, think about you. It has to be purposeful and meaningful to you, but is it palatable and understandable to everybody else? So you have to have something in your design language, in your penmanship, in your creative process to make sure not only do you like what you're saying, and not only do other people like what you're saying, but do they understand it and can they apply it to their life and see tangible, measurable growth, tangible, measurable change. So bringing the mental health, the creative, the finance, all that, we've created DEF Collective, DEF, Dr. Elijah Frazier Collective, a collective bodies of works and frameworks and publishings and startups to where whatever area of your life you want to bring to Def Collective, you got a vision, you have a goal, you have an idea, you want to become better mentally and emotionally, you want to get your finance together, you want to bring a dream and vision to life, whatever it is you want to do, you can bring that vision, bring that goal, bring that idea to Def Collective. And not just watch it come to life, but watch it yourself come to life. We're not just building the ideas, we're building the frameworks and building the people behind these ideas. So not only does your idea come to life, but you come to life as well, mentally and emotionally. The idea for a better marriage, or the idea for better finances, the idea for, better lifestyle, the idea for bringing a goal or vision to life. That is Def Collective. So you see the podcasts and the faces and the voices and the conversations of bringing in this conversation and not just raising awareness, but normalizing this way of thinking. Okay, I'm not crazy. Okay, my vision can work. Man, look at all these people who did their own thing. And as a mental health professional, as a person who is such an advocate for personal growth and development, when I'm sitting in front of someone, I can only help the person that I'm sitting in front of. But of course, when I do a video or something like that, that snippet can help people. But now it is like moving from behind the desk and building frameworks and lifestyles that people can live in and be healthier. My goal is to see less clients and have to go back to the drawing board. See, when people get into whether it's mental health or finance or fitness or whatever, they want as many clients as they can get. They want to keep seeing them and keep getting them and those sorts of things. And I get that. But my goal isn't to get as many clients as possible, as crazy as that may sound. My goal is not to get as many clients as I can possibly get. My goal is to see fewer and fewer clients and have to go back to the drawing board because we did such a good job. They don't have those problems anymore in their real life. Some people go to the same therapist, the same counselor, the same coach, the same fit, ain't lost no weight, mind ain't changed, this and that. And you just keep going. But if we're doing a good body of work, we should be seeing less and less people. You see where I'm going? So, and going to a new wave of people that, maybe haven't had access to this just yet. So with that being said, what we are building here at Def Collective is beyond magical, is beyond vital, is beyond necessary. Like this is like you will hear and see this throughout the world. Like there are going to be so many things powered by Def Collective, and we're building lifestyles, whether it's hospitality, whether it's, finances, whether it is, education, whether it is lifestyles. We're going to build frameworks. So I think I'm going to butcher this, but I think it was Thomas Jefferson. I'll find it. I'll put the quote on the screen. But he said, it's easier to raise a strong child than to repair a broken man. And so many times we pat ourselves on the back for how well we fix problems. And I want to begin to pat myself on the back for how well we prevent the problems. So now we never see. So still a problem, still a call to action, still a problem to solve, but in a different way. Not just, yep, you sprained your pinky toe. Let's put a cast on it. Now it's better. Okay, what if we had whatever we need in place so that you never sprained your pinky toe? Of course, accidents will happen and things of that nature, but you get my point. So you will see a lot of lifestyles and frameworks and things happening throughout people's lives and throughout the world around us that will be powered by Def Collective so that people can live healthier and whole lives, and the lives that they were meant to live, not the lives that they had to settle for. So, stay tuned.